Good morning and a warm welcome to you all. As you must be knowing that we are observing our day 7 activities of Swachhata Pakhwada. E-waste se raksha, Swachhata hi suraksha. On this theme, we have arranged a motivational talk on e-waste management. And to introduce our speaker, I would request Mr. Mithilesh Pandey, our campus engineer cum estate officer, to please come onto the stage.
Morning, everyone. On occasion of Swachhata Pakhwada, today's activity, a motivational talk on e-waste management will be delivered by the Mr. Cecil Mandal, environmental engineer from West Bengal Pollution Control Board. The brief profile of Mr. Mandal is Mr. Mandal has done his MTech from Motilal Nehru National Institute of Technology, Allahabad in environmental engineering, and has delivered various motivational talk on the waste management systems. Presently, he is posted at West Bengal Pollution Control Board head office as environmental engineer in waste management cell and looking after all issues related to e-waste, plastic waste, solid waste, and construction debris waste in West Bengal. He is an eminent member in project steering group constituted by the Department of Information Technology and Electronics, Government of West Bengal, for setting up an integrated e-waste management facility at Sonarpur, West Bengal. Now, I hereby invite Mr. Manda to deliver today's talk on e-waste management system. Please.
Good morning, everybody. Respected Dean Sir, Mr. Pandey, and other faculty members, research scholars. I first off will welcome all of you on behalf of West Bengal Pollution Control Board, Department of Environment, Government of West Bengal. I also thankful to the organizer for organizing such a sensitization program today on the e-waste management. And because only the Central Pollution Control Board, Ministry of Electronic and Information Technology, that is we call it MEITI and the NILET, they are not good enough for effective implementation of these rules, e-waste management rules. Today's presentation, I have two different sessions, two different chapters. One is what is the e-waste, what are the adverse impact on our environment, on our society, and what are the regulatory regime of the e-waste management. Because I am here before you on a regulatory body. West Bengal Pollution Control Board is a regulatory body because Ministry of Information and Technology, MEITI, and Central Pollution Control Board, they notify the rules. That is e-waste management rule 2016, e-waste management rule 2022. And we are the implementing authority, executing body in the state of West Bengal for implementing or proper effective implementation of this rule in the state of West Bengal. Briefly define it, what is the e-waste? E-waste is a maybe whole or partially. Suppose before that, let me define the few terms. That is triple E, electronics and electrical equipment. And what is the definition of electronics and electrical equipment? If any gadget is put in an electromagnetic field or electricity is passed through it, it will start its operation. Simply we call it a triple E item. And if this kind of items, after the end of life, suppose every electronics gadget, they have a definite lifetime. That is the e-waste management rule 2016 or 22. It is available in Schedule 1, Schedule 2, Schedule 3. And each and every electronics item or the e-waste item, they are defined with a definite code. that is e-waste code. So after the successful end of life, it is thrown into the basket or into the municipal downside. We call it a e-waste. So what is the e-waste? Any electrical and electronics equipment after is satisfactory fulfilling its end of life, it may be whole or in part. Sorry, excuse me. It becomes a e-waste, and the government of India, government of West Bengal, and the urban local body, they will take care of for effective channelization towards the recycling or dismantling of this kind of waste. This is as per the 2016 and 2022 rules. There is the item-wise differences. In the 2016 rules, only 21 item has been identified as a e-waste. In case of 2016 rule, the item has been extended to 106 numbers of electronics and electrical equipment items. And suppose EEE code, each and every electronics gadget after fulfilling or end of its life, when it becomes the waste, it is identified as a EEE code. So that there is if there is any transaction of waste from to the consumer to bulk consumer to the recycler or dismantler, this code has to be mentioned while fulfilling or you are submitting the annual return to the West Bengal Pollution Control Board or the Central Pollution Control Board. You have to mention this code and the quantity of the e-waste. This is the circular economy concept. Now we all of us know that the linear economy, the concept of linear economy has been converted and switched over to circular economy. This is the consumer behavior. Earlier in the circular economy, suppose the manufacturer produces such kind of electronics gadget. After the end of life, it is thrown up. The purchaser or user there uses this electronics item. After the end of life, it is thrown into the basket or dump site, municipal dump site. This is the linear economy concept. Now the concept has been changed. The collection from the basket, suppose one person, just say, give me a call, it's not from the municipality sanitary inspector. They have collected a good quantity of e-waste because they provided additional pouches. While receiving to door the municipal solid waste, they request every landowner or the houses, do you have any kind of own batteries, torch, radio, whatever it may be? We will provide some money, some incentive. They are ready to incentivize. And ultimately, they collected a good quantity of e-waste and they are storing in their facility. And we have engaged one recycler and dismantler so that they can dispose these e-waste item to the recycler, dismantler. We just help them for proper channelization of this kind of waste. This is the different points of circular economy, and all of you know that what is the benefits of circular economy. I just keep this slide. Why the recycling of e-waste? Because this is the basic concept, or the government has tried to motivate the circular economy or implement the circular economy, because each and every types of e-waste, there are some valuable item and there are some toxic or hazardous substances. The valuable item we call it the precious metal. Suppose gold, lead, antimony, palladium, this kind of precious item, and that can be recovered. Technology is available because in the CPCB, if you download the cpcb.nic.in, you can download the guideline of the e-waste management or the channelization or the recycling of the management. Each and every kind of recycling or e-waste item, they have mentioned the methodology. They have mentioned the guideline, how to dispose, how to recycle these kind of e-waste, how to extract the valuable precious metal out of it. What do we stand? Now, the Indian generates the 1.7, in some literature, 2 million tons of e-waste annually. And in 2022, CPCB published an annual report wherein it has been mentioned that 1.7 million tons of e-waste is generated. In 2020-21, we have conducted a study, inventorization study in the state of West Bengal with the help of Webel. They have conducted the study and they took the two different parameters, suppose sale data and GST data. They got the information from the GST bubble, they got the information from the sale data of different bulk consumer, different wholesaler, e-retailer, and the dismantler, recycler. On the basis of this information, they compile, and what is the result? In the state of West Bengal 2020-21, 41,827 metric ton of e-waste is generated. And roughly, as per the thumb rule, if we consider the 40% should be channelized as per the rules, that is 16,000 metric ton of e-waste should be channelized, should go to the recycler, dismantler, refurbisher. But the result, the annual return we receive from different consumer, bulk consumer, different academic institutions, different government houses, different industries, altogether we receive 5,827 metric ton. There is a huge quantity of e-waste leakage. And that why the leakage? There is a good quantity of e-waste is being taken and or transferred to the different state or neighboring state or in South Indian state. They and government has no data, and this type of activity is being carried out by the informal sector. Now the government has come up with the concept formalization of all types of informal sector, and under the framework of the e-waste management rule. And this is the 2% of roughly estimation, the 2% of overall solid waste management, there is a possibilities of e-waste in the solid waste, municipal solid waste. And about 95%, 92 to 95% of this kind of waste is handled or channelized by the informal sector. So we are worried about this, that how to formalize all this kind of informal sector so that government has a information, government has an idea of what are the quantity of e-waste is being generated in the state of West Bengal. Why? Because in my brief introduction that I am the project steering group and the member of the project steering group, government is going to set up a state-of-art facility, integrated e-waste management facility in Sonarpur, because there is an IT park, the space is available there, and the 6 metric ton per day capacity. 6 metric ton per day capacity, government is going to set up with such type of integrated e-waste management facility. And we, the West Bengal Pollution Control Board, is financially supporting the Webel Department of IT, Government of West Bengal. This is a joint project, and it is going to be the state-of-art technology in the state of West Bengal. And while setting up this kind of industry or a facility, we must have some idea that what are the exact quantity of e-waste is being generated in the state of West Bengal, so that the infrastructure we are going to set up or install or we are procure, because there is a project steering group, they are handling all these issues. Some consultants are there, they are guiding us that what are the exact type of equipment, because the precious metal recovery, the instrument is very much costly, more than 2 to 2.5 crores. So this, if we are not getting the exact quantity of e-waste, then the ultimate goal, we cannot reach the goal of this facility, or the capacity cannot be fully utilized. This is the e-waste generation in the different state of India. And we know that in urban and rural area, there is a different fraction quantity, because the consumption of e-waste or electrical equipment depends on the GDP, overall economy of that kind of society. And if you look in the picture that the state having the higher GDP or higher income group people is living over there, they have the tendency of using or consuming this kind of electronics gadget. So the e-waste flow. So the consumer, manufacturer, importer. The consumer, we are also the consumer. This institute is also the consumer, as well as we are also the generator of e-waste. That a manufacturer, they are manufacturing or they are producing. There is the one few terms. There are producer, bulk producer, refurbisher. I will explain in my later slides, and the dismantler. Importer, suppose any entity or any people, they are importing any kind of electrical or electronics equipment outside, and these electrical and electronics equipment, they have to undertake that after the end of life, what are the disposal mechanism? And there are the question of coming the PRO, Producer Responsibility Organization. What they are doing, producer responsibility organization is a kind of business houses and some people or entity. They are facilitating that the consumer and bulk consumer, they are generator of the e-waste, and if after the useful life of this kind of electronics gadget, these items, that these e-waste item should reach to the dismantler or the refurbisher or the recycler. And they are making the bridge in between the producer and the recycler. This is the PRO, Producer Responsibility Organization. And this is a domestic, commercial, different sector. They are consuming the e-waste, auction to the vendor, the different e-waste service providers. Suppose refurbisher, dismantler, and recycler, they are taking part in the e-waste e-auction conducted mostly by the MSTC. And they are procuring this kind of e-waste depending upon what are the valuable material they have within this type of e-waste item. An exchange of the vendor for higher configuration, vendor lobby, scrap dealer, the monitor CPU, need a different kind of dismantling activity, an extractor of the recycler, that is the precious metal recovery of this different kind of material. Suppose this is a laptop. The outside of this part is sometimes mostly this is a plastic made body, the casing, or some metallic parts. This is a non-e-waste item, we can say like this. And this plastic, after the end of its life, when it is malfunctioning or it is not working properly, then suppose we go to the repairing shop for refurbishing. The repairing shop, that some technician is there. There are some exchanges, some worn out or some component of the electronics component, and they replace by the new one, and it starts operation. And these activities, we call it the refurbishing. And the dismantling, suppose it contains more than 1,000 numbers of components, and this fragmented or this distortion of this material or this separation of each and every component to the identical electronics component, that is the dismantling activities. And the recycling, suppose each and every dismantling item, there are some precious metal, there are some gold, suppose in PCB, in condenser, there are some precious metal as well as some hazardous material that we have to recover for the sake of environment, for the disposal of hazardous waste in safe and eco-friendly manner, and as well as we have to extract the precious metal so that we can sell them and we can earn some revenue out of it. These are the hazardous substances commonly available in the e-waste item: polychlorinated biphenyl, that is condenser and transformer, and chlorofluorocarbon, that is as in the form of refrigerant, and the insulation foam, PVC polyvinyl chloride, the cable insulator is mostly used that in the wire or copper wire or the silver made cable, the different types of insulation purposes. The major toxic elements in the e-waste, suppose printed circuit board, the PCB, what are the toxic material? It have the lead and cadmium. Cathode ray tube, the lead oxide and cadmium. And switch and flat screen monitor, there is a possibility of mercury. Computer batteries, cadmium, the capacitors and transformer, the polychlorinated biphenyl, and printed circuit board, plastic casing cable, brominated flame retardant or BFR, and computer batteries, polyvinyl chloride. These are the toxic components. Earlier slide, I would like to represent the hazardous component, and these are the toxic metal. We have to recover from this for the sustainable and eco-friendly disposal of this kind of components. Also, there are some valuable precious metal And the Ministry of Information and Technology, Government of India, they have made one technology, and that is state-of-art technology, and that is adopted by the CIMET. There are three units of the CIMET: CIMET Hyderabad, CIMET Pune, and CIMET Trichy. They are analyzing what are the extent of, what are the concentration of this kind of material should have, and they have made the benchmark, a standard, that if any producer or a manufacturer, they want to bring their product in the market, their standards should be like this, that this concentration has to be met, and this is mandatory out of, and if this is not fulfilled, their product will not be allowed in the market. And this is the benchmark, and CIMET is analyzing this kind of benchmark, whether this is the concentration of this toxic or hazardous substance within the mandatory table or the permissible limit developed or the by the CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board, they will allow. And every smart buyers, they should look into that whether the concentration is approved by the CIMET Hyderabad or CIMET Pune or the Government of India, any agencies that concerned by the government are reputed by the Government of India. These are the ROHS restriction of hazardous substances. There is some concentration of hazardous substance we can allow in the electrical or electronics component, and if the concentration is beyond the permissible limit, we cannot allow. That is the restriction of hazardous substances material. The lead, that is a solder, the lead commonly used as a soldering purposes, mixture containing tin, silver, copper, and bismuth, zinc, organic and solderability, preservative, nickel, antimony, gold, and palladium. Suppose like this, the cadmium, mercury, and hexavalent chromium.
Mr. Mondal, arsenic is not being included here. Arsenic is also the byproduct of the e-waste. Like if you take the chip out, you will get the gallium arsenide, indium gallium arsenide. So that is
In the form of
so is not being,
in the form of compound, is the free arsenic is available?
yeah, if you just dissolve this thing using this fragmentation, you will get this arsenic, and it will go to leach to this water and make this problem.
Okay, okay. I will take.
So why it is not there? Because hexavalent chromium is there, which is a toxic.
And not only hexavalent, sir, total chromium is also there.
Yeah, but trivalent is good, but hexavalent is a toxic.
Okay.
Chromium 3 is okay.
Okay. We'll skip this slide.
Sure.
This is the conventional process of dismantling, and this is unhygienic, unscientific process of dismantling and disposal of e-waste. Suppose it is an open area, this cable is burned. For extraction of this cable wire, it may be made of copper or silver, aluminum wire. For extraction of this, because the technology says the technology is available, there is a cable stripper. That if we passes this cable into the cable stripper, it will separate the insulation and the wire. The technology is there, but the people, the informal sector, they are extracting this metal out of this cable in this unscientific manner. This is the dismantling activity of a picture tube or a monitor of the computer. This is the dismantling activity. Just these people, just at the extreme left-hand side of this boy. This boy don't have any kind of personal protective device. They don't use the masks. These boys are not using the gloves. These boys are not using any wearing boot or a factory boot. They are doing like this. And there is a stove, kerosene stove. They are just heating this PCB for extracting this or leaching out this kind of small component, diode, IC, this kind of material. And this boys is doing, and one study has been made by the government of India. There's if this kind of laborers are doing or carrying out this kind of activity without any personal protecting devices, their lifespan is reduced 10 to 12 years. Because they are always exposed to this kind of environment. This is another effluent treatment, and in this recycling method or the recycling process, this is the unscientific recycling process. There are 3 or several number of acid bath, and they are leaching this kind of material that emerges for the few hours.
I was talking about this only.
Oh, yes, yes. And whatever the spent acid, they are taken in the drum, and if they find any lowland area, they are just dumping or poured into that lowland area, maybe stream, maybe canal, maybe any river. There is a huge concentration of spent acid contaminated with some heavy metal or toxic metal. But the process, the methodology says, and the guideline says there's the electrolysis process, sir, that you can extract this material through the electrolysis process, but there is a cost intensive. So they are using this kind of acid leaching bath for easy removal of this kind of material. This is the different component. If the e-waste are not properly managed or scientifically managed, there may be some adverse impact of the human bodies, especially those are directly or indirectly engaged in this type of activities, dismantling activities, refurbishing activities, or the recycling activities. They directly inhale this kind of fumes, and this may damage their different body components. This is a small view. Now the regulatory part. That West Bengal, what does West Bengal Pollution Control Board, the Central Pollution Control Board Ministry is doing? The Ministry of Information and Technology, Government of India, they are taking a lot of steps for proper channelization of the e-waste, for proper dismantling, proper recycling under the framework of e-waste management rule. Earlier, way back in 2016, the 1st October, the government has notified the e-waste management rule 2016. And next, the e-waste management amendment rule 2022, which is notified in the 2nd November 2022 and has come into effect in the 1st April of 2023. And what are the regulation? What are the rules? Rule says is that each and every rule there is a guideline. And there is a new technology are being incorporated in the guideline. So the pupil, the investor, the pupil engaged in this type of activities, dismantling, recycling, or the refurbishing activity, they can have the free of cost technology. If you follow the guideline accurately, you can dispose a good quantity of e-waste, safe and eco-friendly manner. There's the e-waste management rule 2022. I just skip this slide. I will discuss the salient feature of the 2020 rules. These are the different features of the 2020 rule. Earlier, the 2016 rules, the West Bengal Pollution Control Board issues the registration and authorization certificate. In 2016 rules, authorization certificate. What is the authorization? Do you require any type of authorization? Yes, there is a scientific requirement, the authorization, because every producer, now the question is who is the producer? A producer is a person or any entity who brings any kind of EEE item to the consumer or bulk consumer in the form of different business scheme. Suppose it may be the e-retailer, is maybe the wholesaler, is maybe the dismantler, recycler, or refurbisher. They introduce any kind of EEE item to the consumer or bulk consumer. They are under the definite brand name. Suppose the BPL, Sunny, Videocon, they are the producer. And the government has put some restriction on them that every producer, if they are identified the producer, the government has imposed extended producer responsibility. What is the responsibility of the producer? The producer responsibility is that after the end of life, the producer has to take the responsibility for taking back. There are a different scheme, e-waste exchange scheme, direct return scheme, take back scheme. Suppose any refrigerator commonly we purchase and any shops, they are giving the warranty, the 10 years, 2 years service warranty. And if the system or the gadget is malfunctioning within this period, we just report the wholesaler or the shopkeepers that this electronics gadget is within the warranty period and it is started malfunction, is not working properly. Then he will guide you. Then you put this item to the service center. Whether this material is recovered or repaired, they can allow this or they can replace by the new one. This is a different scheme introduced by the seller or the wholesaler or retailer. Suppose Amazon or this is the different types of the e-retailers are there. No entity shall carry out any business without the registration and also not deal with any unregistered entity. Earlier in 2016 rule, there is a provision of authorization. And now the authorization is changed to the registration. Registration, suppose one bulk consumer or PRO, producer responsibility organization, or the recycler or the refurbisher or the dismantler wants to carry out its activity. They have to apply in the centralized portal developed by the CPCB. The portal is e-waste-epr-cpcb.nic.in. If any kind of people engage in this type of job or activity, they have to apply in the portal, and the portal, they will be, or the state pollution control board or central pollution control board will issue a e-waste authorization or extended producer responsibility authorization. At the first page of the authorization, there is a target. A table is there. A table will be there. There will be some target. The target, what is the target? The target is decided by the portal itself on the basis of two methodology. One is the sales methodology and one is the manufacturing methodology. Suppose one company, one brand owner, one producer introduces his e-waste or any electronics or electrical gadget into the market, and the warranty period is 2 years. How the target is determined, I will show you in my next slide. The authorization has now been replaced by the registration. Schedule 1 expanded by 106. Earlier it was 21 item, and often we have to receive different corner of the side. The question is there. This is a cable. Whether it will be called the e-waste, then within the jurisdiction or within the periphery, there are only 21 items has been identified. Before 22, the e-waste. Now the item has been extended to 106. The term bulk consumer has been widened, and bulk consumer had been widened. Earlier, this bulk consumer has been identified as one entity, one person. He must be registered in the Factories Act 1948 and the Companies Act 1956. And in case of healthcare establishment, suppose in case of hospitals, in case of nursing home, the capacity of the healthcare units should be, turnover of the healthcare units should be more than 1 crore, and the employees should be more than 25. Now that it has been revised, now what is the bulk consumer definition? At least 1,000 units of electrical and electronics equipment listed in the Schedule 1. Suppose any bulk consumer, any entity, if he generate this much quantity of e-waste or above this, he will be called the bulk consumer. This is the basic concept of annual return or annual recycling target may be made. Then the first page of the e-waste authorization or the registration or the extended producer responsibility authorization or registration, that how it is being calculated by the portal itself. Annual recycling target may be made stable by the 2 years, and starting from the 60% of the year 2023-24 and 24-25, it will be 70%. Now, on the basis of manufacturing level, how the target is fixed in the running year, financial year 2023-24, the target will be fixed that 2021 and 22, how much of the electrical component he introduced in the market. And on the basis of this record, the 60% has to be collected from the different corner, from the consumer or the bulk consumer. Anyway, there are different schemes are available. You can adopt any of them, but you have to collect that. And you have to ensure the government that this much of quantity has to be recycled, dismantled, and refurbished. Because if you are not able, or if it becomes a failure to meet the standard or meet the target, there will be the provision of environmental compensation. The government will impose the environmental compensation, that is, we call it the EC. If you are failed to meet the target, the government will impose the environmental compensation, and that is a methodology. Again, it will be available in the guideline. There is a methodology and a very scientific methodology that how we can compute the environmental compensation. This is not a story that I think this is this much of quantity. Your EC will be decided on the basis of quantity. There are more than 25 numbers of paraphernalia. On the basis of all this paraphernalia, the government has decided there is a big formula is there, sir. Then you can put all these input, then the system will generate how much the environmental compensation will be for the failure or not, you have not fulfilled the EPR target in the particular financial year. The quantity of recycle will be computed on the basis of end product so as to avoid any false claim. Suppose what are they doing? This is commonly we find in, sir, as you were talking about, in paper on black and white, we have get lot of information, but all these are forged information. Actual figure is different.
You said informal entities.
Yes,
So
they are not maintaining any kind of formalities. There are the Form 3 for giving the annual return. There are the Form 6, the manifest system. Suppose there is an exchange of a transportation of e-waste from the consumer to the recycler or the service provider. The government has introduced that you cannot say that this is the quantity, आप ले जाइए इसको, आप कितना पैसा है दे दीजिए. ऐसा नहीं है, आप वो तो बात चलते रहेंगे. लेकिन you have to put all this information in the Form 6 and you have to report in the government, the State Pollution Control Board, the Central Pollution Control Board, in the form of annual return, Form 3. The provision is there. There is no paperwork. The provision, all this information has to be compiled in the prescribed format developed by the CPCB or the State Pollution Control Board. The provision of Constitution of Steering Committee to oversee the overall implementation of this rule, as I am telling in the before the starting of this presentation, I am the member of this type of steering committee or steering group. There is the two big stalwart persons, the member of this one is Sandeep Chatterjee, the retired person of the MeitY, and Anand Kumar Sai, the director of e-waste management division of the Central Pollution Control Board. And principal secretary of our department of IT is also the member. This is the about EPR. How the EPR is being computed. Suppose I am telling like this, there is the two schedules, Schedule 3 and Schedule 4. Schedule 3, suppose in current financial year 2023-24, 60% of the quantity of TPL placed in the market, suppose one producer, one brand owner, they introduce this kind of, whatever the quantity, X quantity, Y quantity into the market in the year Y minus X. Y minus X, X, what is the X? X is the lifespan of this particular electronics gadget. Y minus X, the average life of this product, the target has been fixed at the 60%. And it is calculated by the portal itself. While you are applying or giving input, all this information in the portal itself will formulate and give you the result that this is your target. And the first page of the registration certificate, you will have the target. And you have to meet the target through the help of PROs. The PRO, you have made an agreement with the PRO. PRO will collect this kind of e-waste, maybe from your brand, maybe from different brand. And while applying in the centralized portal, you have to mention that this is the PRO, and this PRO must be authorized in the centralized portal. It is not that there's anybody, any entity can claim, yes, I am the PRO. Because if you select the PRO, there will be some drop down. And if in any corner of the India, the PRO must be authorized by any state. And this, if the drop down, we cannot find the name of the PRO, the system will cannot accept this value, the name of the PRO. In the Schedule 4, there is business, whatever the business you have carrying out or conducted in a particular financial year. In 23-24, 50% of the sales figure of the financial year, 20 this 2 years back. 2 years, but of course, the lifespan must be more than 2 years. It is not like that, that his expiry date is 2 years, then his formula cannot be applied. The 15% of the sales figure of the financial year 21-22. Now you are computing, we are computing this figure, the finding out the target in 2023-24. We have to take the record of 21-22, 2 years back record. These are the different stakeholders: producer, bulk consumer, refurbisher, dismantler, and recycler. In my next slide, I will like to brief definition what are the different activities of these service providers. These are refurbishing activities, replacing, or we can say the repairing of any triple item. আমাদের বাড়িতে যখন কোনো পুরনো রেডিও বা টিভি খারাপ হয়ে যায়, আমরা পাড়ার দোকানে কোনো রিপেয়ারিং শপে যাই। Can I continue in my mother tongue?
Yes.
Okay. So যাওয়ার পরে তো তখন উনি কি করেন, দুটো আইসি বা একটা ডায়োড ওটাকে রিপ্লেস করে দিয়ে একটা সোল্ডারিং করে দেয়, করে দিয়ে বলে নিজে আর নিয়ে যান। এবার না হলে ওই রিপেয়ারিং শপের লোক এবার দাঁড়ান, আধ ঘন্টা দাঁড়ান, আমি একটু চেক করে নিই। চেক করে নিয়ে বললো দেখুন এটা তো পিকচার টিউব গেছে, এটা কিনতে গেলে যা খরচা পড়বে আপনি বরঞ্চ আর 1000 টাকা দিলে একটা নতুন পেয়ে যাবেন। তখন মানে this system will not economically viable. The refurbishing is not economically viable. Then what it will go? It will go to the informal sector. সাধারণত আমাদের বাড়িতে কি হয়, আমাদের পুরোনো টিভি বা রেডিও আসলে দেখবেন একটা ঝুড়ি নিয়ে একটা ছেলে দুপুরবেলা আসে, and they are very clever. Why they are coming in the afternoon or noon? Because mostly আমাদের বাড়িতে এই দুপুরবেলা বাড়িতে আমাদের গৃহকর্তা তারা থাকেন না, বাড়িতে মহিলারা থাকেন, হাউস ওয়াইফরা থাকেন, এবং দে আর ক্যালকুলেটেড প্ল্যানিং। এই মহিলাদের কাছ থেকে এই 50 টাকা 20 টাকা থেকে একটা মোবাইল নিয়ে নেবে, 20 টাকা থেকে একটা রেডিও নিয়ে নেবে, নিয়ে এবং সেও ভাবছে যে বাড়িতে এসে রাত্রিবেলা বা সন্ধ্যেবেলা এই আজকে পুরোনো রেডিওটা ছিল ওটাকে বিদায় করলাম, হ্যাঁ বিদায় করলাম, অনেকক্ষণ পর পর হলো 50 টাকা দিল আর কি। তো এই ব্যাপারটা কিন্তু ওয়েদার ইজ গিভিং দ্য রাইট ইনসেন্টিভ টু ইউ। আমরা কখনো দেখি না যে ঘরে তো পড়েছিল আবর্জনা সাফ করলাম, ও 50 টাকা দিল বা 20 টাকা দিল। We say no, please don't give this informal sector. At the end of my presentation, we will give you some information that Webel is there. You just give them a call. They will collect whatever the quantity of his US. Suppose in your institution, academic institution, maybe 100 kg, maybe 50 kg of US. You just give him a call. He will collect. He will give you some Form 6 or Form 3, and he will also incentivize you. ও ইনসেন্টিভ দেবে আপনাকে, আপনাকে কি কোয়ালিটির ইউএস নিলেন সেটার উপর বেস করে আপনাকে একটা রেভিনিউ দেবে। রেভিনিউটা ইজ এ জাস্ট এ টোকেন মানি, কারণ হচ্ছে আপনি কখনো এক্সপেক্ট করবেন না এটা, দিস ইজ আওয়ার রেসপন্সিবিলিটি, উই হ্যাভ টু ডিসপোজ ইট ইন ইকো ফ্রেন্ডলি অ্যান্ড সাইন্টিফিক ওয়ে। উই জাস্ট হেল্পিং দেম দ্য গভর্নমেন্ট, উই জাস্ট হেল্পিং দ্য গভর্নমেন্ট, উই ডোন্ট গিভ দ্য ইনফর্মাল সেক্টর or the kabariwala this kind of e-waste. Now the dismantling activities. These the baskets are there, and these people, they are dismantling the different components of a CPU unit. And you can have the idea that what are the quantity of different components they are dismantling on the CPU unit, and there is the recycling unit at the end of this process. Dismantling is এটাকে বিভিন্ন কম্পোনেন্টে সেগ্রিগেট করে দাও, এটাই হচ্ছে ডিসম্যান্টলিং অ্যাক্টিভিটি। এবং অল দি সার্ভিস প্রোভাইডার হ্যাভ টু রেজিস্টার ইন দ্য সেন্ট্রালাইজড পোর্টাল অফ দ্য সেন্ট্রাল পলিউশন কন্ট্রোল বোর্ড। রিসাইক্লিং হচ্ছে ডিসম্যান্টলিং তো করে দিলেন, ডিসম্যান্টলিং করার পর তার মধ্যে কি জিনিস, আমার দুটো জিনিস আমার মাথায় আছে। ওয়ান ইজ দ্য হ্যাজার্ডাস ওয়েস্ট কম্পোনেন্ট অ্যান্ড দ্য সেকেন্ড ইজ দ্য প্রিসিয়াস মেটাল কম্পোনেন্ট। উই হ্যাভ টু extract these hazardous component in the scientific and sustainable manner, so that there will be the less health impact on the employee working over there. And then another question is there should be no leakage of the precious metal. আমাদের এখানেতে ইন্ডিয়াতে প্রিসিয়াস মেটাল রিকভারি এরকম কোনো টেকনোলজি এখনো পর্যন্ত পাওয়া যায়নি। আমরা সাধারণত রিকভারি অফ গোল্ড, প্যালাডিয়াম, অ্যান্টিমনি, সিলভার এগুলোর জন্য আমরা মোস্টলি বেলজিয়ামে পাঠাই। ওখানে অ্যাকুমুলেটেড করে, এবং সেখান থেকে আমাদের সাউথে আপনাদের দেখেছেন ব্যাঙ্গালোরে ডক্টর পার্থ সারথী উনি একটা করেছেন ই পরিসরা। আপনারা যদি গুগলে সার্চ করেন ই পরিসরা বলে দেখতে পারবেন। উনি সব হোমমেড টেকনোলজি উনি ব্যবহার করেছেন, এবং সেখান থেকে উনি ওনার ইলেকট্রোলাইসিস প্রসেস থেকে উনি একটা গোল্ড কোয়ান্টিটি মেবি 150 grams of gold he recovered out of this kind of material, mostly from the PCB, প্রিন্টেড সার্কিট বোর্ড। তবে এখনকার দিনে ল্যাপটপ বা কম্পিউটারেতে গোল্ড খুব কম পাওয়া যায়, কারণ আগে দেখতাম আমরা 40-50 হাজার টাকার নিচে ল্যাপটপ পাওয়া যেত না, এখন 25-30 হাজার টাকাও ল্যাপটপ পাওয়া যায়। সাধারণত প্রিন্টেড সার্কিট বোর্ডেতে যে প্রিন্টেড সার্কিট বোর্ড আমরা দেখি যেটা বেসিক্যালি রেজোনাইট কম্পোনেন্ট, এবং তার মাঝখানে একটা কপার প্লেট থাকে, থিন প্লেট থাকে, এটা অ্যাডহেসিভ দিয়ে গাম করা থাকে, হিট প্রেস করা থাকে, এবং যাতে গুড কন্ডাক্টিভিটি, ফর গুড কন্ডাক্টিভিটি they have used in the soldering or in the internal circuit they have used the gold or antimony or silver. কিন্তু এই 25-30 হাজার টাকার ল্যাপটপেতে এগুলো থাকে না। এগুলো কাজেই আপনার ওল্ড সাধারণত ই অকশনেতে 10 years ব্যাক 15 years ব্যাক যে ই অকশন হয় তার ভ্যালুটা অনেক বেশি হয়, কারণ ওরা জানে যে এখান থেকে প্রিসিয়াস মেটাল রিকভারি অনেক বেশি হবে। This is the responsibilities of different stakeholders. Suppose producer, brand owner, they must be registered in the centralized portal of CPCB. They must give or submit the annual return in the prescribed format to the State Pollution Control Board or the Central Pollution Control Board. Otherwise, there will be a environmental compensation, there will be the show cause, even there may be some close down of these kinds of facilities. Responsibility of the consumer, the bulk consumer. The consumer should channelize this e-waste through the collection center or dealer or dismantler or recycler. যেমন আমরা কনজিউমার as well as আমরা জেনারেটর, তাহলে আমরা বা এই ইনস্টিটিউট বা আমাদের অলমোস্ট অল গভর্নমেন্ট ইনস্টিটিউট উই আর দ্য কনজিউমার, এবং আমরা আমাদের যে রেসপন্সিবিলিটি অ্যাজ পার দ্য রুলস কি বলছে, আফটার দ্য এন্ড অফ লাইফ there must be, sir, I don't know what are the arrangement in this institute. In the government institute there must be some one committee, 5 men or 4 men, at least 4%. A committee must be there, and there must be one of these member must be a technician person, and they will collect, they will check whether this component of this gadget is out of order, is malfunctioning, whether it can be declared as an e-waste. Suppose some person, but I am not talking about this institute, some person with some vested interest, he is declaring this is e-waste. আমরা স্যার এরকম অনেক ইনফরমেশন পেয়েছি, একটা বড় মোটর ইলেকট্রিক মোটর সেটার দাম more than 50,000, এবং before declaring is the e-waste the vendor is ready, we will collect this motor, and one fine morning one sticker is over there, it is becomes a e-waste without checking, without any recommendation by the technical person. I think the academic institute, this institute, I respect this institute, there must be some committee, because I am talking about if some internal audit or CAG audit is there, then want to know who declared this item as the e-waste. Is there any committee? What is the recommendation of the committee? And what is the individual credential of this person, of the member of the committee? Whether they are able to declare this kind of electrical gadget as a e-waste. So a committee must be there. They will declare this is a e-waste, and after that I will give you some information, share with you that Webel is there. Apart from the Webel, we have the 5 or 7 numbers of recycler dismantler activity they are doing satisfactorily in the state of West Bengal, and they are authorized by the State Pollution Control Board. And entire information, detailed information is available in our website www.pcb.gov.in. You can log in the portal and you can have the details idea, their address, their phone number, if you call them, but there must be some business aspect. যেরকম ধরুন আপনার 50 কেজি বা 100 কেজি ইনভেস্ট হলে commonly they will not show interest, but Webel is there. If whatever the quantity, আপনি জাস্ট তাদেরকে একটা ফোন করবেন, তারা আপনার এখানে এসে there will be no transportation charge, they will give all the sorts of paper, all the formalities as per the rules, and also intensify the আপনাদের একটা সামান্য কিছু ইনসেনসিটিভ দেবে। This is the some thumb rule of Setting up the facility of the e-waste. Suppose most of the time, different entrepreneurs, they come before us. Then what are the space requirement for setting up the server facility? E-waste management dismantling facility. CPCB has introduced a guideline for setting up a refurbishing unit. Suppose repairing of e-waste unit, for per 1 ton of e-waste, you require at least 150 square meter of space. In case of dismantling, 300 square meter of space. And in case of recycling, 500 square meter of space. This is a thumb rule developed by the CPCB, and all this information is available in the CPCB guideline. This is the methodology of computation of e-waste. I just skip this slide because this is a very lengthy methodology, and more than 20 to 30 parameters are required for computation of e-waste in the state, any state, or in India also. That if this is the quantity, they are required the sale data, they are required the GST data, they are required the information available from the dismantler, recycler, and the refurbisher. Or if all this information is available, we put this information in some mathematical formula there, and we can have some idea this much of the quantity of e-waste likely to be generated in that particular financial year. These are the facilities authorized by the State Pollution Control Board: JS Pigment, Lubrina Recycling, PU Steel, Old and Furniture, Bhanu Metal, WB E-Waste Control Management, Hindustan Recycling, Purulia. These are the facilities, and at the list, the way they have developed, they are going to develop. They are in the way of developing or setting up such type of facility in the Sonarpur area, the IT park, within the IT park premises of capacity 6 metric ton per day. And this system, you will have all types of facilities, because we are going to set up the state of art. We will provide the training. The government will provide the training to all informal sectors. Yes, please see, this is the actual process of e-waste recycling dismantling facility. And also, we also welcome any academic institute if their students or research scholars are interested to how this system is working, how a recycler or dismantler is functioning. They can also visit this type of plant, because there will be some training room. Maybe not this large of this room, the small room infrastructure will be there. There the recycle and recovered item will be given to you. Then these are the items recycled in a particular year or particular month. And apart from these 7 numbers of service provider, we have more than 86 numbers of collection centers. And we have to monitor, we have to send the report fortnightly to the CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board. Why there is the requirement? Because West Bengal Pollution Control Board is a regulatory body. Our main function is to issuing registration or the certificate, and second is the monitoring whether this facility, whether this center, whether this dismantling activity is going as per the rules or not. And if they are violating the rules, we have the tools for imposing environmental compensation. We have the tools for imposing bank guarantee. We have the tools for the pollution cost as a polluter pays principle. We have the tools for imposing closure order and bank guarantee. This is a public notice issued by the Central Pollution Control Board that the portal has come into effect in 19th October 2022. However, in the last month, there's a lot of entrepreneurs, they have applied in the portal, and few of them also registered in the portal. At the end of this discussion, there must be, we have some intention. What are the message we are going to spread with you? These are the first, be aware that everything you throw out has an impact. So store safely, maintain records and dispose through authorized disposal facility only. Increase awareness about these problems before they become a bigger threat, because today's program, maybe you can treat them as T40, training for trainer. So be smart consumer and buy electronics that are environmentally friendly. That is, These gadget consume less quantity, less amount of energy, so that consumption of energy also increase the carbon footprint. Dispose the e-waste properly and make sure it is being processed in our country safely, and don't mix the e-waste. This is a very important message, that don't mix the e-waste with our municipal solid or industrial hazardous waste, because it will be very difficult to segregate this, and these people don't have any idea. So please, if your institute, if your home, if your relatives have any kind of e-waste, please put them in a separate basket, separate packet, or separate bag, and you request the municipal people, they are collecting the municipal solid waste, that do you have any facility for collecting this? If he is saying, because most of the facility now, the concept has been changed, a good numbers of municipalities have their own separate arrangement. So I think you please ask them, do you have any separate facility for collecting? When if you are collecting and giving them or selling them to the scrap dealers or the informal sector, then I will not ready to give. If you have, honestly speaking, if you have the separate facility, I can ready to give you. This is one of these facility. I cannot say, I don't want to say the name of the facility. Recently, we have authorized this facility. It is located at Kulgachia, Baglan. This is the facility they have developed. This is the furnace for extraction of the metal. This is the dismantling table. And over this, there is suction hoods, a good numbers of suction hoods. Whatever the fumes they are generating during the dismantling activity, that will be collected. They are all these collection hood is connected in the pipe, central pipe, and this is connected ultimately to ID fan, induction fan. It will collect a negative draft is what there, and it will collect it, and there is a cyclone separator. That whatever the dust particle that will come up with this during this dismantling activity, it will be arrested in the cyclone separator, and the fine and clean air will be emitted through the stack. This is the CRT monitor and feed washing machine dismantling facility. The wire stripping mechanism. At the initial of my presentation, I am telling that what are the, this is the machine, it looks like this. If you insert it, can you use this light? Madam, please. If you insert any cable, whatever the diameter of the cable, and if cable contains the copper wire or aluminum wire, if you insert this cable at the opposite side, the insulator, that is the PVC, and the wire, that is maybe the silver or copper, it will be differentiated or segregated, and that will come up in the separate bucket. And ultimately, the wires, these are making a dust. There is a cutter, small cutters are there. You cannot see it from outside. If this naked wire is passing through this cutter, it will convert this wire into the dust, copper dust, aluminum dust, silver dust. And this is the pop baling machine. Suppose there is a huge quantity of plastics, and all these plastic cabinets is the voluminous, and it has to be baled, that is compressed, hydraulically compressed. This is a compressed machine. There is a PCB recycling machine, very important PCB recycling machine, printed circuit board recycling machine, because in the PCB printed circuit board, there is a thin layer, copper sheet layer, and this copper and the resonant component, these are separated. When this PCB inserted into this machine, there is a indirect heating. And indirect heating, this is loosened, this layer are loosened, and after that there is a separate mechanical devices, that metallic parts and the non-metallic parts, the resonant component is separated. This is the CRT cutting machine. The wire recycling machine and crucible smelting machine for extraction of different kind of metal, and the wire recycling machine. This is the indirect heating chamber. And a good number, someone, maybe 10 kgs or 15 kgs of PCB. Before that, the PCB contains the small components, suppose diode, IC, or triode. It contains small, this circle, there is a drum inside this equipment, and it is rotating, and there is indirect heating, the heating element over there, and this indirect heating, this component are loosened, and there is a screen, all the small component passes through the screen, and all the PCB is there, then PCB is put into the PCB recycling machine. This is the copper PVC plastic recovery machine, and this is the plastic shredding machine. This is cabinet and washing machine cabinet. This is broken into small pieces, and all this is put into this hopper, and there is a shredder. It converts into small chips or small flakes, and it can be used as a raw material. There's a good kind of plastic is there. Suppose now the road bumper is mostly made out of this material. And this is the compressor cutting machine. Because before putting the compressor into this machine, whatever the gas inside the compressor, there is a gas extraction machine is there. And after the recovery or removal of these gases, this compressor is put it into the cutter, and it is divided or separated into 2 or 3 as per the requirement. Thank you. Do you have any question? I am ready. If you would like to give me the answer.
Thank you very,
Yes.
thank you very much for such a nice talk. And, yeah, it was quite nice to listen about it. Okay, anyway,
Okay, you are audible.
yeah, okay, it was quite nice to listen about what are the ways to like recycle and then get it done. But we are talking about the areas where like we are municipal corporation and where we could be able to collect the overall wastage. What about the rural areas where there are no facilities? Is the board taking any steps to get those things back into the recycling plants?
Okay, yes, very good question. But now the government has taken initiative in the urban areas, but the system must be there in rural area as well. Then we are discussing in the PNRD department, Panchayat and Rural Development Department, and we are talking and discussing what are the system, what are the facilities. The Panchayat, because their Panchayat is always telling there is a crisis of fund, it is not possible. And government, in some cases, government is providing fund for setting up the facility. But the state, they are going to set up this kind of facility. We don't have any segregative manner. Because whatever the e-waste they are coming out, and if the PNRD or Panchayat, any Panchayat is showing their interest, we are always ready to welcome them. And the system or the facility will take the e-waste from the urban area as well as the Panchayat or rural area.
Okay, just a follow-up question, like, being staying in sector 5, okay, where I'm myself staying, I had a habit to segregate everything. For example, the battery cells and everything. But when checked, and there was no as such segregation for in the societies in the urban areas too.
Yes.
So what are, is there anything going to happen? For example, once upon a time, the garbage, which is like, suka kachra and then, wet garbage. So these two used to be mixed together. Then municipality came up with the idea, no, you can't do that. Otherwise, we are not collecting anything from you guys. That is for the big societies and everywhere. So like, is there anything which the board is implementing and then pushing these societies to segregate those things separately?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are always in the process. We are discussing to the urban development agencies, UDMA, Urban Development and Municipal Affairs Department. And under this department, there is a SUDA, State Urban Development Agencies. And they are taking care of the urban areas. And we are also discussing with the Panchayat and Rural Development as well. I would like to share my few of my idea that what are things are happening. Now, out of 125 ULBs, urban local bodies are commonly known as municipalities and corporation. We have the 7 corporations.
Yes.
And out of 118 numbers of municipalities. And most of the municipalities, they have engaged the micro planner. What are the activities of the micro planner? Micro planner are being identified or through the tendering procedure, depending upon their credential, their working experience. The micro planner people, they will go, they will visit, they will not, they are doing this, carrying out these activities, every residential houses and the homemaid or the maid servant, they are teaching them that this is the waste. They are taking some sample as well. This is that there are some, they are carrying some leaflet, they are carrying some pictures, photographs. This is the wet waste, this is the dry waste. You put this waste in this bucket, and you must have seen in the, if you were residing in the Kolkata area, the Kolkata Corporation and municipal body is providing 2 colorful bucket. One is blue color and another is green color. One for dry waste and one for wet waste. And government is also advising us that if your collection on regular basis, then you put this material into the basket. And there is 2 other option. One is domestically biomedical waste. Suppose in the last year, COVID time, there is a good numbers of family members, they are infected by the COVID and they are generating biomedical waste. And we requested them, the municipality will collect this kind of biomedical waste. You please don't mix with the municipal solid waste. It puts you in a separate bag, and the municipal vehicle will also carrying the separate bag for collecting or taking this kind of material. And we have the 7 numbers of common biomedical treatment facility in the state of West Bengal. And every municipality they engage with them. Now, whatever the quantity of biomedical waste they are collected, they sending to the common biomedical waste treatment facility. Next, another thing is domestically generated hazardous waste. All these types of we are discussing today. This is the domestically generated hazardous. Maybe e-waste, it may be hazardous waste. We also request them to please put this in the separate bag, and you ask the municipal people or the Safai Karmi whether do you have any facility or what you will do with this material. Do you have, because we have visited a good numbers of municipality, they have the collection mechanism. They are also disposing in scientific manner by engaging some agencies. The system is there. I cannot say all of the municipalities have the system, but a good numbers of municipalities have the system. Government is trying to develop this facility, but it will take time.
Thank you.
Very, very interesting talk. Mr. Mondal, I'm just wondering that, you said that triple E definition, as per triple E definition, 2016 has few items and that was being multiplied in 2022.
Yes, sir.
So definition changed or the new product came to the market
No, sir.
in few years?
Definition is same as it was 2016. Only the item. Because a
So
lot
why those have been not being considered in 2016?
because before notification, what the ministry has doing, ministry has a committee, and the ministry MeitY has a committee involving all different people or research scholar, scientists, professors, what may be, and they are making a draft policy, a draft notification, and it is put in the public domain for the suggestion, for the valuable inputs. And after compiling all the suggestions, any notification is being introduced or notified in the government gazette. That is the gazette notification. And maybe in 2021, because before 2016, e-waste is not dealt with the separate rules. There is a combined rule, the municipal solid waste. And after the 2016, there is a separate waste management rule, e-waste management rules, 2016. Has come into effect. And after that, there may be some leakage, there may be some misconsideration, maybe we can skip them all this waste. And that is why we are taking the question from different corner. Yes, you are telling there's only 21 items is e-waste. But whether this item is e-waste, whether this item is e-waste, we are in confusion. though from the different state pollution control board, we appeal to the ministry that you please extend it that item, you please verify whatever the mechanism you have, and because you have to clarify. If it is not, you have to clarify, it will not be considered as a US, and if it is, you have to insert it into the item.
Right. Now, my next query is that, with the advancement of EV, electrical vehicles, and all the battery, lithium is still not being considered in your list. But whatever our research is telling, that leaching capability of the lithium, like from battery, is very high. Like it can be leached higher than sodium because of the solvation power. And if a percentage of the lithium goes to human, it will have a neuropsychiatric problem. So we tested in mice and everything. So why lithium is being ignored?
Actually, sir, I have seen a few of these items. It is not the only these items are incorporated.
But the consumption and the dumping stuff.
I will go through the entire 106 item in the schedule 1 and schedule 2. I will feedback you.
Sure,
Whether
because lithium battery, because we have a tendency of throwing in a water and nala and everything. So if you go over there, you will not able to. The salinity that you will just consider as a conductivity will be basically augmented by lithium. And the problem is that
my humble request, if it is not there, then I would like to request you please just give me one letter. I will forward it to the Anand Kumar sir.
Sure.
That if this is a question come from the institute, whether you are thinking that whether should we lithium consider or not. If it is not, you please clarify.
Right.
Okay.
And for the e-waste, you only considered on the land like a solid waste problem. You didn't consider the water and the air also.
Yes,
Like that e-waste can also create the problem to water and
yes, that is one facility is there. I have given a few snaps of this facility. That there is a air pollution control device. What are the fumes generated? Suppose in a crucible furnace, the crucible furnace, there is a possibility of generation of different types of fumes containing metallic dust. And there is a back filter. Back filter are there, and the cyclone separator is there. Before going to the back filter, because back filter pores are very tiny, and it has to be the larger size particle. Suppose 50 micron, 60 micron, that must be arrested in the cyclone separator. And after passing these gases through the cyclone separator, only the finer particle will be arrested in the back filter. And in this facility, all the facility we have authorized, this facility and the facility present or working in different states as well, they are having this kind of air pollution control device, and there is no doubt these kind of activities will input some pollutants into our air or in our environment. And as far as water pollution is there, we have closed down the 3 units we have identified. We have closed down this unscientific methodology they are adopting for extracting this metal, because this is a high groundwater polluting tendency. Because the leachate will penetrate to the groundwater table and it will contaminate our groundwater level. We have stopped them. We have closed down this kind of facilities.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for this resourceful and informative talk. I would request Mr. Pandey to give vote of thanks to the audience.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for delivering such informative talk. We hope we implement the same. We are looking forward to have your esteemed support to dispose of our existing e-waste. And I thankful to my dean sir, registrar madam, Pal sir, DR admin sir, and all staff members to join us for a talk and make our works grand success. Thank you.